That's a great question. So, the interest in social CRM mostly today driven by hype, but here's a big part. Through the next 12 months or so, we're gonna see actually an understanding of what social CRM is. I mean, let's be honest, nobody knows what social CRM is today. We have a million definitions out of like 500,000 people, right? I mean, I can have a definition and I'll change it by the evening. But that's not the important thing, because it's not about definitions, it's about what businesses do with that. So what we're gonna see through 2011 is more and more businesses adopting the concept of social CRM, doing Facebook and then trying to integrate it with CRM, doing Twitter and seeing how the data actually contributes to the analytical CRM that they have. So through the next year, we're going to see a lot of the stuff, and then what we're going to see is like, the buzz is going to change from hype of what it could potentially be to some very well laid out projects and like cases of what it could actually be. And then 2012 and beyond, then it's going to be about implementation. It's going to be about how it makes sense, how you can bring the social world to the organization, how customers in the social customer data that you have integrate and all that. So we have a couple of very interesting years ahead where a lot of the hype is going to be replaced with like a lot of interest in like real case studies. Right, and we used to say that about CRM. Back when I was doing CRM, we always said CRM is about the journey, not the destination. You're never ever going to be done. There's no end goal here. There's no, we implement social CRM and we have a Twitter communities and Facebook, set up done and we're done. This is about implementing a basic infrastructure that allows you to do whatever you need. It's about understanding the value of the social data. It's about understanding the integration of the social data with the real data and what you have to build. And once you build it, that's when the fun starts. That's when the journey starts. So you have the basics, and now you can actually start looking for problems to solve. So I mean, and when you solve a problem, you create 3 more. And you don't have a Facebook page, right? So you're going to build up a Facebook page, but guess what? You still don't know what to do. All of a sudden, you have 10 million people clamoring for you to sell stuff over Facebook. So you're going to do that. But once you sell stuff on Facebook, they want you to service it. And then once you service it, you actually want to link it to your ticketing system. So you can do communities, forums tied to Facebook. So each time that you present a solution, you're going to create a new problem that needs to be solved. And that's the journey. It's like, continuously understanding this. And the most critical part is to have the right vehicle for this, which is the basic social infrastructure. To become a social business, you have to be a social business, which means you have to be social internally. Your people need to understand social, you need to have the right infrastructure, you need to have the right culture. I mean, come on, if people don't know how to interact with customers or they don't know how to collaborate, becoming social means nothing, because you're going to ignore the data, you're going to ignore the social data, you're going to ignore the value that it brings. However, if you're social, if you know that this is going to actually help you have a better business, then you have a much better setup. So now you're social, you understand the concept, and now you can become a social business. Now you can put collaboration into action. Now you can put, reach out to people through different social channels and bring them into the organization, which is the goal here. I mean, the goal still at the end of the day, and I said this before, is to build a collaborative business. The social is just an interim step towards what we're trying to get to. We're in the social CRM era, starting to understand the social business era. I mean, there's, in my old Gartner days, we used to have 3 different groups of people. We had type A, B, and C of organizations. Type A were early adopters, type B were mainstream, type C were late adopters, right? Essentially, to make it simple. So I mean, we have late adopters that are still in the CRM and internal collaboration era doing some things there. We have some, early adopters going into social CRM and social and enterprise 2.0 and social collaboration and all these things. Maybe starting to peek into social business. The mainstream is just starting to understand social CRM. So, you have to go through all the stages to get to collaborative enterprise, just like we had to get to the stages to get to social business. I mean, social business requires the presence of a CRM system and requires the presence of internal collaboration. Forget enterprise 2.0 and social CRM. It requires the basic tools, understanding and culture. So I mean, you build that, you have it, then you evolve to the next level. The next level is called social CRM and enterprise 2.0. The next level is called social business. The final level is called collaborative enterprise. But by the time we get there, 15, 20 years from now, we'll have 3, 4, 5 more levels, that we already built. I was talking in the year 2000 about 2 models. I was talking about the collaborative customer service. Excuse me, that I said basically is going to be in the 2010 era. Know that I'm right, but when I'm right, I will actually say it. And I was talking about this model called secret customer service, which was like latency-free collaborative customer service between humans and computers, and I still think that that's going to be what's come after this. So, but we have a long way to go before we get anywhere, and the first step is to get social CRM right and to get Enterprise 2.0 right. So here's the most interesting thing. Before I actually started getting into Enterprise 2.0 about 3 or 4 years ago, I have done a lot of work internal with knowledge management and collaboration way back then, in the years that I don't want to remember, right? I mean, before we had social and all that stuff. And when Enterprise 2.0 came about, I said, it sounds like something that we're already doing. There's no way that anything is different. So I went back and I started researching, and I found the postulation for Enterprise 2.0 as Andrew McAfee put it together, which is essentially what I call the collaborative enterprise, because the name Enterprise 2.0 has been changed slightly through use. So, but Enterprise 2.0 has a very clear goal, which is to facilitate customer satisfaction, to enable customers being satisfied and become loyal customers. That's the goal of Enterprise 2.0. So internal collaboration to do better for the customer. Now, what's the goal of social CRM? It's the same thing. Right? We go about it in different ways, and there's different systems attached to it, and there's different integration levels. But basically the goals are the same, the tools are the same. We both use communities to a certain extent. We both try to do the same, which is integrate the data, capture the data, make sense of it, and act on it. So they're very compatible in what they say. But when you actually go to the implementation of these things, right? Enterprise 2.0 has been an IT-driven initiative of collaboration without any specific goals. Just implement a platform of collaboration. Social CRM has been excuse me, to a certain extent, something similar. Social CRM is just create communities so customers can tell you what they want. We're just going about it the wrong way, but they're actually, in reality, they're very much the same thing. It's all about creating a collaborative enterprise where customers, partners, employees, suppliers, and whatnot work together towards building a better business that benefits both the customer and the company. So to a certain extent, it's the 5 things I mentioned earlier, right? It's like people, process, technology, governance, and metrics. But the one that I didn't mention that is always getting in the way is politics. And politics is the one that is the biggest roadblock anywhere we go. I mean, IT has a certain stronghold in the implementations of Enterprise 2.0 because that's architecture and framework and infrastructure, and we have to do it, and they don't want to give that up. And if I go to say, hey, you know what, you don't have to do that anymore because we have some other system, they'll scream, because that's their empire. That's what they built, and there's no fault of their own. I mean, this is the way organizations work forever, and they will probably continue to work. If I go to the VP of customer service and I tell him to do things differently, he's going to see his empire threatened. He's going to see a reduction in count of people that he has, a reduction in force. He's going to see potentially more requirements for reporting. He's going to see different reporting structures. He's going to change his work. He doesn't want it. Same thing with people in the organization. Nobody wants to change, and the lack of change is what drives politics. So politics influences these 5 components: the people, process, technology, governance, and metrics, to the point that things don't get done.